things are getting connected. And Rajesh, I am damn excited today. Let me tell you, damn excited. Okay, दोस्तों, तो आज गेसु संवाद के इस 15वें सेशन में मैं पुनीत भटनागर एक बार फिर आप सबका स्वागत करता हूं। 15 अगस्त हमने अभी मनाया और विश्व के करीब 20 देशों के गेसुआइट्स हमारे साथ जुड़े और यह बहुत बड़ी सफलता थी कि हम इतने लोगों के साथ जुड़ पा रहे हैं। और ऑफ कोर्स हिंदुस्तान के तो कोने कोने से गेसुआइट्स जो हैं जुड़े हुए हैं, आपस में मिलते भी रहते हैं। और आज बड़ी खुशी की बात है कि आज हमारे साथ राजेश हैं, राजेश आहूजा, जो इन्फोसिस के ग्लोबल हेड हैं, टैलेंट एक्विजिशन हेड हैं। एंड वी ऑल कांग्रेचुलेट यू राजेश फॉर सच अ फिनोमिनल सक्सेस। एंड हम आपका अभिवादन करते हैं, आपका स्वागत करते हैं।
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure, and actually, I'm very humbled that I was asked to come on this platform because everybody else before this have been so illustrious that I told Pathik sir that I'm not the right person to be called for this platform. So thank you for having me.
मैं आपको एक इनसाइट आपके साथ शेयर करना चाहता हूँ राजेश, कि कहीं ना कहीं शायद ये हम्बलनेस ना, ये भी गेसु के डीएनए में है। क्योंकि मैंने जितने भी वक्ताओं से बात की, सबने सबसे पहले यही कहा, अरे मुझे कहाँ ला रहे हो यार, मैं क्या यहाँ पे आने के लिए योग्य हूँ।
और मैं एक और बात बोलूंगा, जब कॉल आता है तो अच्छा भी बहुत लगता है कि मुझे बुलाया तो यू फील कि कुछ अचीव किया है लाइफ में। तो थैंक
यू सो मच फॉर रिकॉग्नाइजिंग दैट राजेश। और तो हम आगे बढ़ते हैं और आज बहुत सारे यहाँ पे लोग जुड़े हुए हैं। कुछ ऐसे लोग हैं जो खुद आज संवाद में भी आना चाहिए, जिनको स्पीकर के तौर पर, वो सब आपको सुन रहे हैं। तो बात शुरू करते हैं राजेश कि आपका कैरियर क्या है, आपकी जिंदगी क्या है। जहाँ तक मुझे समझ में आता है, आप में से तो इंदौर के नमकीन की खुशबू आ रही।
जी, मैं इंदौरी हूँ और वेरी प्राउड इंदौरी, और हमेशा रहूंगा। मैं obviously, when I was studying in school, engineering was probably one of the most coveted options or careers to go to. So मैंने भी same route follow किया. These were days when there were no private colleges, so you had options. Obviously very, very limited, and I was very happy that I got GECU because one of my neighbors, right next door neighbor, and a very, very good friend studied from GECU, Shailendra Kadre, 91 batch mechanical. And watching him was like, we grew up watching him doing good things, and we went to GECU, so I also came to GECU. There was no second thought about following that path. And it was phenomenal journey, right? 4 years of GECU were probably the best years, still so far in life, were the best years in life, by a long, long margin. Okay. I learned a lot. A little bit of engineering also I did, but mostly learned a lot of life skills, and made the best friends for life. I think that's probably the biggest grace I have from GECU, that I made the best friends, and I learned a lot of life skills. Not to be afraid, how to face it. Walking to that Indore junction when you are in first year teaches you a lot of things which you don't realize, right? That if you're first in that line on first year, and there is a big group of seniors standing there, that you're going to get beaten up, and you still walk and go there. So learned a lot. Towards the final year, I think we got a little bit serious. Thanks again, my friends. some of them got more serious than I was in terms of what future holds for us, starting to prepare for competitive exams and things like that. I kind of scraped through that process, and I joined IISc and did my management studies, and then chose a completely different life of doing human resource management.
Okay, so from engineering to IISc, and even at IISc, you did get into science or technology, but you went to management studies. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, but why HR?
I think there were two. So one thing I've always believed in is make the most of what comes across your way rather than trying to fight it. So I actually studied marketing and I did a minor in HR when I was studying. But one of my first interviews was with Toyota, which was just starting in India those days, and they had come down to interview few of us, and the first interview was with the HR team, and the HR team included the head of HR, who was a Japanese, and he was fairly strict in the interview, and he kind of threw a case study at me, which was about some Toyota plant in US and how it was not successful and things like that. And I argued with him on that case study. I would use the word argue rather than saying my point of view, because it was an argument. And luckily, I knew that case study from my college days, so I could confidently argue about what I was saying. And at the end of that process, they said, "Would you like to join HR team rather than continue with other departments?" And I had enjoyed that conversation. I was looking for a job, and I knew, though it was the beginning of the boom of IT in India, '98. I knew I cannot do programming. I had already failed doing that. I could not write a single C program for my life, right? So I decided that it's a good opportunity. Toyota is a great brand name. Though salary was low, I still decided that, okay, rather than waiting for another few companies to come and interview and etc., I took the job. And as luck would have it, I have enjoyed that journey quite a bit.
Okay. And then from Toyota to?
I joined Infosys after 4.5 years. And I was to live in Bangalore, and 99, 2000, 2001 में अगर आप बैंगलोर में रह रहे थे और IT नहीं करा तो there was something wrong with you. Everybody was doing IT, and Infosys was a big haloed brand with a lot of things in HR and being very successful, NASDAQ listing, etc. तो जब उनका कॉल आया तो obviously मैं इंटरव्यू के लिए गया था, and again had a phenomenal interviewing experience. My final interview was about Toyota production system, not about HR, not about what I will do or not. My boss grilled me on if you have to apply Toyota production system learnings to recruiting or HR, what will you do? And it was a very, very interesting conversation. So again, based on the experience, I said, okay, I'm going to do this now, and I joined.
So I'm just curious, because when they talk about all these Amazon and Google, Infosys, they say the interviews are very tricky. And so maybe we will come to it later, but it's interesting that they didn't talk about technology. You might have gone there preparing for some techie questions. And
so yes, and this was my final interview. So I did write the very famous Infosys test. The analytics aptitude capability. And I was 100% sure that after this test, they'll ask me to go, because I wouldn't have cleared it. And to my surprise, I actually passed. And much later, after I worked for some time in Infosys, I used to actually design that test for for not design. Design was done by the experts, but I used to validate that is this a good test for our candidates to take? And I used to actually sit down and write tests to validate them. So I have a it is true that the interviews are tough, and the whole process is an involved process, and it depends at which level you are. If you are at the entry level, of course you have to write tests and things like that, which is where the capability judgment happens at the first level, or the skill judgment happens at the first level. But as you go along in your career, then there are multiple interviews, presentations you have to make, and things like that. But yeah, it is an involved process, so we have to prepare for it.
And so you remained at Infi for a few years?
Not much, actually. I was young, so I wanted to do too many things in my life, and the market was also booming. So a couple of years later, I decided to jump and join JP Morgan. JP Morgan was JP Morgan was again a big brand name those days, though not very popular in India. And one of my reasons to take that job was to go to Bombay. I had only worked in Bangalore so far. I had not seen any other lifestyle, and the family kept saying that Bombay is closer to Indore also. So let's take. I did take that job, worked there for a couple of years again. Got married during that time, so very memorable stint. And then moved to. In fact, I have when interestingly, my father-in-law or future father-in-law that time had asked me this question: why would you leave Infosys and join some JP Morgan? They are not, don't even know them. So, but I did that, and then one of our senior execs joined Deutsche Bank, so I moved with him back to Bangalore to join Deutsche Bank after that.
Great. And then where?
Then after Deutsche Bank, peak of the markets, I thought I am very good, and I should do some amazing work. So I joined a startup called Boston Analytics back in Bombay, and that was my chance to make millions of dollars because those were the days when everything was good. 2007, I took that job. Joined January 2008, and by I think April, May, everything was coming crashing down. And probably the most humbling experience of my life so far. In a matter of 1 year, I went from this big dreams of doing some big work to no job. I lost my job. The startup, I retrenched most of them, and then I got told also, and it was obvious, right? The company was not doing well, so they were trying to make it very, very small. And so beginning of 2009, I was out of work and remained like that for 6 months almost. Very, very interesting experience. Have always cherished the learnings I have had. And I was this HR person who used to be in thick of hiring and hiring other people and doing all kinds of job related stuff, and I was the one whose calls were not being returned and things like that. And
so it must be a very tough phase for you, Rajesh, because I can understand an HR guy asking for jobs, not getting answers from the other end. I think that is the biggest pain often discussed on LinkedIn. I think the biggest debate is why HR people don't talk to us. Why don't they give us feedback on our resumes and things like that? So you went through that yourself. So
I went through that, though I don't blame anyone because the market was so bad, right? There were no jobs. And I was at a certain seniority, so obviously the jobs were even lesser. And you have to rely on a lot of support systems then, right? Family, the biggest one. Friends, my GECU friends would call me and cheer me up a little bit, and or give galis that why you're sitting at home and get out and do something, and etc. And your other networks you make over a period of time, right? Professional and other friends. And that's how you go through it, right? I was very lucky and fortunate that it wasn't about any other aspect of not having a job. It was just simply that I just didn't have a job, and I was very confident that it'll come back, right? It is not that, but you go through a very, very up and down emotional roller coaster on that. And then as luck would have it, like all these things end, I got 3 jobs at the same time, one after the other. So it was okay to go through that. A lot of learnings, and I agree with you. HR people, we as a fraternity are sometimes infamous for not replying about your application or something like that. And one lesson which I've carried, and I try and implement this on my day-to-day basis, and my team also, that let's give a reply, right? Even if it is a no, let's tell them that it's a no, right? So they don't have an expectation or an open thread with us. So I try. Obviously sometimes I'm not able to, but or sometimes I'm not able to help someone, but at least I try and give a response as much as I can.
I'm sure. Once you go through that experience, you have that empathy to understand what others might be going through.
Yeah.
So that's so correct. So now, 3 jobs, and which one you took?
The most safe job. I was working in banks, so I chose another bank. I was working in Bombay, so I chose Bombay. I was, I chose comfort zone. I chose security and comfort zone rather than taking another challenge or risk at that point in time. So decided to join Credit Suisse. Another big reason to choose Credit Suisse was I used to live in Powai and the job was in Powai. So you cannot get more spoiled in Bombay with that. So that's why I chose Credit Suisse too.
Okay. So Credit Suisse, was it a job that you really liked, or you enjoyed after that long gap?
Yeah. One was I was very grateful for having that. So I enjoyed being back at work. I also enjoyed the fact that every new job has new learnings, right? There is no, even if it is exactly the same job as you did, but there are new people, new ways of doing things, different challenges. So I absolutely enjoyed that. But about a year and a half into the job, I also realized that I can do more, and when you get a little bit confidence back, when you get market is opening up a little bit, you want to see. So I started having internal conversations with Credit Suisse to say what can I do more, and I was in the process of evaluating some opportunities internally. With to do different things, and that same time my ex-boss at Infosys called, and he said, you've been roaming around quite a bit, why don't you come back? And I was like, what will I do coming back? You won't be able to afford me.
Okay, man. Okay, yes.
So
what agada bachche mein?
And boss was a friend, right? So you can have a little bit of fun with him. And he said, no, I'm looking for some help in Europe. We are doing some big focused work there. So would you be interested? I said, yeah, that sounds interesting, right? Another thing I've not done in my life, I've not traveled abroad, as in I've not worked abroad. I had traveled abroad, but I have not worked abroad. And also, if I want to get out of my comfort zone one more time, I think this is something which I want to do. It was a very, very interesting debate at home, right? Do we want to do this? We were well settled in Bombay, doing well. The job was going very, very well. And I kept, big debate with parents about, why would you want to do this at this stage? We had a daughter at that time, about 3 years old, and and then this thing, right? If I don't do it, I will feel bad about it. So let's do it. And both of us, me and my wife, told each other that we'll do this for 1 year, see the world a little bit, maybe 2 years max, and then we will come back. Because India is where we want to be. How can we live so far away? And it's 10 years now, still living abroad. I went to London to start off with, then moved to US 2 years ago in 2018. And I must say, I've enjoyed this 10 years with Infosys now. Enjoyed a lot, learned so many things, experienced so many things. I can proudly say now, very humbly but very proudly say, that I've now lived and worked in 3 continents, which I think has added a lot to my personality and my family's personality. So really, really grateful to Infosys and for providing the opportunity.
That's a great achievement, and we all are proud of you.
Thank you so much.
So you are trying to be humble, like all the speakers are. But we are all proud of you, and all my friends in the chat box, they will support me. Today, yes, when I'm talking to you, so many of us are inspired, and I'm using the word inspired because generally the perception is Ujjain, Indore, Malwa, small towns, GECU, very college, but if you started from GECU and you jumped to the global level, we have a reason to be proud, man. So let us be proud. Give us the chance to be proud.
I'm thankful for you to say that. Thank you.
Okay. So now let us go back. So you are still at NP. So once again we will take a U-turn. I will take you back to your first job, the Toyota. And like you said, they were setting up a station here, setting up their factories here. So what was that experience like?
Again, first job, I think, shapes everybody's life. Is in my view, good or bad, right? In good ways or bad ways. And my first job did that to me. It shaped my career. My first boss shaped my career till date. I learned everything possible I know first time in that job, right? I did everything. I did as a management trainee. I photocopied thousands of pages to create manuals for our training, or to prepare the first policy document for the company, or to do compensation structures, to process payroll. In fact, I went out of my comfort zone there again. I learned programming to write our first attendance control system. So very, very interesting experience. But probably the most interesting experience of all of it was to handle an employee strike. And all my engineer friends on this who have worked in factories would know that can be a very stressful situation. We were a new factory, 2 years into production, a very successful factory, one of the gems of the of Toyota globally, and we ran into the employee issues, had a 50-day long strike, got very complicated in some parts, like getting the external unions involved, external political parties getting involved, and so on and so forth. But that experience of managing relationship with the employees, working with the senior management.
I have one question here, Rajesh. You were a junior employee. That was your first job. Were
Yes.
you involved in all this stuff?
I used to work very hard, right? I used to work 12 hours a day every single day, 6 days a week. But jokes apart, because I was one of the first employees in the organization, I joined when the company had less than 100 people, and when the strike happened, we had about 1,500 employees. I had the advantage of starting when there was nothing. We used to work in a temporary office, so I knew almost everyone. And B, I had hired 80% of those people, so I had a personal rapport with most of them. B, because of some attrition in the HR team, I was given more responsibilities at a very young stage, and I took advantage of the fact that I had energy. I was one of those single people in the team who literally could do constant amount of work. There were nights I would just sleep in the office and be ready in the morning. So all of that helped me get that position to do more than what I was, what my designation allowed me to. So I took the opportunity and took the advantage of it. And my boss helped me a lot. He trusted me, and that trust really helped me to do a lot more than what I could have done on my own.
The Japanese guy.
The Japanese individual, Ueno-san.
Okay. So in such situations, especially when there is a long strike, and especially when you are a foreign company, a lot of political issues comes up, a lot of complexities comes up, and you a kola kacha banda, fresher banda, sitting with them, didn't they bully you? Weren't there any threats to you?
They did, and frankly, in Bangalore. I was also a non-Kannadiga, right? So that also was against you in that because I don't speak the language, and on the shop floor you have to speak the local language. And I learned fair amount of Kannada. Now I understand Kannada. I can manage broken, bad grammar speaking, but. Yes, there were lots of threats, intimidation. Sometimes if you're going, some 2-3 workers will come on bikes and start riding next to you and things like that. Those filmy style stuff. But I think coming from GECU, you don't get scared of getting into a fist fight on the road.
Okay.
So that was one. Second is my management backed me quite a bit, right? Asking for support, or if I wanted security or any such thing. But at the apart from these minor things which don't matter, the most important thing was how to negotiate with a hostile party, right? When there is somebody who's not listening to you, but they control the outcome. How do you bring them to a table where you can negotiate, right? Where you can talk, and that was biggest lesson I learned, and not to kind of put GECU in a big this thing, but that was exactly how our seniors used to treat us in first year. But you sit on the top of the bus, you get beaten up, you don't even know who's beating you, right?
Third button. You are looking at third button.
Correct. Yes. But it was fun, right? It was fun at the when you got down. You had two emotions, right? You could feel bad about yourself, or you gave 2 galis to seniors and move on. That's what I did when people used to shout at me. I used to take 2 galis to them and move on. Right? There's nothing else you could do about it.
So great. So you handled a strike in the very beginning, and the GECU DNA helped you in some way. In such situations, I think these life skills that we learned in GECU they helps a lot, a lot. But today,
Yes.
a lot of students would also like to know, also from the, because you are a head of talent acquisition, and I would like to take this opportunity. I am becoming very greedy today. Let me put this to you and all the participants, because we won't be getting you again and again, because you have taken your time from that busy schedule. Uh, so I would like to focus on students.
Mm-hmm.
What, from your perspective, what skills GECU students must have in themselves so that they can do better in future? Because the whole world is changing, and what skills, attitudes must be there?
I, I think the most important skill in the world today is your ability to learn and learn
Yes.
constantly. And I think this is true for everyone, not just to students.
Yep.
Your you should always have a learning mindset that
Okay.
I have to learn new skills. I have to learn new ways of doing things all the time.
Okay.
But learning, especially for the students, learning starts with being doing well in academics.
Okay.
If you don't do well in academics, that shows that you are not focused on what you are asked to focus on, right?
Okay.
Only job a student needs to do is learn. So
Okay.
if you're not learning, if not able to showcase that, is something which is not excusable, right?
Okay.
uh, and for some reason, you wanted to show that you had this 4 years of your life, you put a good use to it and have an output to showcase to the people, right? If you did a startup, showcase it to people that, I learned something, this is what I did.
Mm.
That's one. Second, is uh, understand the world around you,
Mm.
understand what's happening in the world of business, and coming to engineering college is a great achievement, but that doesn't get you anything.
Mm.
Are you employable? What skills do you have to get employed, right? Have you
Mm.
learned something more than your coursework? uh, are you able to solve a problem?
Mm.
Your ability to look at various amount of information, make insights and solve a problem, use it for something, right?
Mm.
It-
Mm.
Solving a problem which comes, I get very discouraged sometimes, and Makija sir made a comment on it, on the chatbot, on the
Mm.
chat, is when we used to study in college, even though it was GESU, the debate was, should we learn a foreign author book, or should we use an Indian
Mm.
author? Should we go to Khurmi, or should we go to some other book?
Mm.
And invariably everybody would tell you, when you're studying not for exams, use the foreign author book, right? You
Yep.
will learn something.
Yep.
When I see some of the engineering colleges today, I don't see that attitude, right? I don't see, and I was shocked when and this is not about GESU, but I saw there are 20 questions for engineering nowadays.
Mm.
That cannot be way to learn engineering. That's just not okay.
Yep.
Uh, Second, so problem solving, ability to understand information, know what's happening around you. Third, work on your personality. You
Okay.
know,
Mm.
uh, you should have an ability to communicate. You should know. You should be fluent in English. You should be able to present your thoughts in a simple and succinct way to the interviewers, and and that adds a lot to your job prospects and your in your career prospects for future.
Mm.
And third, like engineering is not an achievement in itself. Uh,
Mm.
Getting the first job is not an achievement in itself.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, if you've gotten a job, doesn't mean that you are set for life.
Mm.
That used to happen in my father's generation.
Mm.
When you get a good job, you're set for life, right? They would retire from the same job. So one skill, one profession, one job. That was the
Mm.
mantra, right? Our generation was one profession, maybe one or two additional skills, but still largely the same skill, and multiple jobs over a career, right? Each one of us probably would do 7 8 jobs on an average. The future would be multiple skills, multiple professions, and multiple jobs. And hence, the students who are coming out, you cannot for your life rest on one skill and be comfortable about it. You have to constantly ask, what's happening to my world? Am I ready for the world which is going to come my way?
Okay, that's great. That's great. And also, I think it's our own responsibility. The college or any institution won't teach us how to do it. It's like an attitude that we have to inculcate in ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's a great and straightforward suggestion, Rajesh, because many people they beat around the bush. Like you said, being able to speak English will help. Now, whether we accept it or not,
Yeah.
if we want to get ahead in our careers, that's one important skill.
Absolutely.
Okay. There is the reality of life. Okay.
Yeah. But, when I went to Bangalore to IISc, I had pretty average English-speaking skills. My grammar was all over the place. I didn't have the vocabulary because that's not how you learn things in GECU, right?
Yeah.
And I got pointed out by a lot of people. No, don't speak like this, don't speak like that, and you have to learn, right? You have to make an effort to do this because there is no other way to be successful.
Okay. So now we spoke about students, and now there are many alumni with us, and they also need to know that, and especially from your point of view, what an organization looks or expects from the employees, and how if employees want to get ahead, rather they want to take a leap like you took, you got a leap. What are the expectations from the top from employees?
Couple of things I would say, right? One, like I said with students, I think the senior management also expect each employee to be be ready for what is going to come, right?
Okay.
And don't just expect the organization to handhold on every step, right? Learning is individual responsibility.
Okay.
And upgrading yourself is an individual responsibility. Not just the organization responsibility. And as long as employees show that willingness that I will learn, I will try new things, I will come and I'll raise my hand and say I can do this, I think, or I would want to volunteer for doing something more. I think that's a trait which is always very well appreciated.
Okay.
Second, I think as an individual employee working in any organization, you have to ask yourself, what's my goal, right? Where am I trying to reach, both in my individual career and in the organization currently I'm working for. And you have to then take initiative. You have to then say that, okay, if I want to progress, if I want to become, quote unquote, the CEO of my company, then what are the steps I'm ready to take? What are the extra things which I'm willing to do? And don't always equate everything to the immediate reward. One of the challenges, especially, is this immediate gratification, right? I did this, give me something back. I think you need to build your CV. You need to build, and I may be a little old-fashioned because I am old, but you need to build your profile. So for people to believe on you that you can deliver something, and they can trust you that you will have the, quote unquote, figure it out attitude of moving ahead and show the results. And when they start trusting you, you will get your rewards. I think rewards come. People get greedy for rewards quite early. So, there's this amazing book Sheryl Sandberg had written, the Facebook CEO.
Yeah.
And she spoke about this monkey gym analogy, right? That don't always think in your career you will go ahead and ahead. You should do lateral moves. You should try and sometimes go down to go up. And as long as you are in control and you know where you want to reach and you want to achieve, I think you will be able to do that. And that is one ability the management really, really appreciates in the employees.
I think that's a great. These are some great tips, Rajesh. Yeah. And that instant gratification thing, I have also seen it in many places. And another thing that you said, which is very interesting, when you said, so if I want to become a CEO, and interestingly, I mentor some people. That's a reality. Mentor some people, and they came to me saying, "Sir, we want to become a CEO in my company," and they are preparing, and I want to share it with all the GECUites, though I generally don't talk about it. People deliberately they get skills, they learn skills, and like you said, that English is very important, and I want to share it with all my friends here. One person who was very senior in the organization but was not getting ahead in a multinational company, I sent him to a spoken English class with his son, and within 3 months, he saw the results. So what is needed, and we have to do that.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. But now, I would ask you, in your personal case, how you went up so high, so quick?
I don't know if it is so high or not, or so quick or not. But if I have to really, really draw upon this, and I'd probably draw upon some other experience, some other colleagues and friends whom I have seen grow faster, I think constantly working on yourself, right? Knowing that I have to learn, I have to do more. This thing. Second, hard work. There is no substitute for hard work. There is no substitute for long hours in office. None. I know people want work-life balance and etc. And I'm a big fan of Indra Nooyi, the ex-CEO of PepsiCo, and she said this in one interview too, saying, every day I work for 14 hours, so I already have double the experience of the person who works 7 hours a day, right? And it is true. What you learn after 9 to 5 is what matters more, right? Because that's informal. You connect with people more. Your ability to sit and get a lot of work done in short period of time, it really, really helps you. So anybody who's at the early stages of their career, that's one advice I would always have. Work hard. Don't count the number of hours. Just don't. That's one, right? Second, the third, right? First, work on yourself. Second, no substitute for hard work. Third, be good in whatever you do, right? If you are doing any job, be really good at it. And I think if you're good at it, people appreciate you and people give you more opportunities. Fourth, go out of your comfort zone. Just try new things. Don't be satisfied. If you try, you will get opportunities, right? You will fail also. Be ready to do that, right? You will have those days where things won't work out, or months, sometimes years. But unless you try, you will never know if it was successful or not, right? And I think those are applicable to everyone. And the I can give you enough examples of my batchmates from GECU who have done extremely well and are very successful by following some of these things. They may not have done a clear 1, 2, 3, 4, but if you really ask them, probably they will fit in.
There's the programming at the back which really works. So I think I promised all my friends that we are going to ask you all these pointed questions, and you have answered each and every one of them straight, and very honestly, and you were very forthcoming about everything. And like I said in the beginning, today I am very greedy, and I would ask you many more questions. And so I will go back again. Like you go from Mumbai to Bangalore and Bangalore to Mumbai, and then to the final destination. I will also move between Toyota to NP a lot. So tell me, because you worked in Toyota and in those earlier stages, and I'm very much interested in what Toyota way is. We have read about it, and the Kaizen, which is making some incremental improvements every single day. Would you like to share some examples how it really happened in real life?
Yeah, sure. I'll share an example in my day-to-day life, right?
Okay.
As an HR guy, you write letters. You write letters, all kinds of letters, right? Compensation letter, promotion letter, this letter, that letter, etc., for employees. And these are pretty much standardized letters with a mail merge. This thing is, and I, as a management trainee, this was one of the things I used to do. And my boss would sign them, and I would, and these were still days where letters were printed and signed and things like that. They were not all docu-signed and sent online. And every time I would take a letter to him, he would ask me this question: what is different in this letter from the previous one I signed?
Okay.
And I would ask him. Initially, I was nervous a little bit, and I would never ask a question back. And I said, I don't know what he's trying to say. It's a simple letter, standard language. I've just changed the name of the person and I printed it, right? So what will I change on this? And then one day he said, I'm not going to sign this if you don't tell me what is changed on this letter.
Okay.
So I told him, there's nothing to change on this letter. This is perfect letter. There's nothing wrong with it.
Okay.
He told me, and I kind of remember it. He said, if you think something is perfect, you will never improve. Okay. If you think this letter cannot be improved, then you are already becoming obsolete. Then anybody can do your job. I don't need you to do this job. And then I said, okay, tell me, how will I improve on this letter? He said, first, do you need to print this letter at all? Ask yourself this question, right? Why do we need this letter? If you need this letter, can it be done in a simpler way? Can you, and even though automation was not that popular, can you automate this process and have a more junior person do this for you than you have to do this? Or something else, right? Do we need a full page for it? And he kind of kept saying that the whole idea is, if you don't look at something which you're doing and see if you are not going to change it or improve it or eliminate it, you will not change. And to me, that's the fundamental principle of Kaizen. That whatever you're doing, you can improve it. And if you think about it hard enough, you will be able to come up with an idea which will change it. And I think that's what I learned about Kaizen.
And I think that's a great example, because we always thought Kaizen is more about the production line. But if it is being applied even in writing a letter, that's some real insight for all of us.
Oh yeah. And I, as an HR person, or everybody, all my colleagues in any function, we were supposed to submit one idea per week.
Okay.
Production was supposed to can do any number of ideas, because they were closer to bigger pieces of work for improvement. But we were supposed to submit an idea, and it was not just submit an idea and forget about it. It was your responsibility to implement it also. And you won't believe, people would come up with some really brilliant ideas, right? Printer usage to how can I structure my work, or how can I not do photocopy so much, and etc.
That's great, Rajesh. The way you explained it and the example that you gave, it's almost like a whole workshop for a lot of people. No, really, the learning. And I think so, that whole attitude of how can I add value to my job?
Yep.
Even by doing little bit of it differently, or doing something extra, or eliminating it. asking those fundamental questions. I think that must be part of your DNA too. And anybody, because even if you work there for a little time, I think it must have an impression on you. And
as I said, first job and first boss define you, right? And I live by that principle. I think what I learned with my boss those days and what I learned in the company has stayed with me forever. And sometimes now I'm a boss, right? So sometimes I am unreasonable with my teams, asking them the same question, that right? Why would you not change it? And we are not in the same environment of Toyota Production System and things like that. But ultimately, that's one thing you can do for your team members also, which is tell them there is a constant improvement which you can bring in your life. You can call it Kaizen, you can call it whatever else, but that's fundamental part of life, right?
How are you changing? I think Rajesh, that mindset can be applied in our personal life too, with our families too, with our relationships too. And I think that's the mindset. And everybody who is here with us in this virtual meeting room, or who is listening to us on Facebook Live or wherever, I would say just underline this. Just underline this. This is fantastic, because when I ask the question, how you take a leap, I think if you do this, the leap is guaranteed. Leap is guaranteed. And so thank you so much for that fantastic answer to this whole question. But I would ask you another question. Might be a little bit tricky. Like there is a Toyota way. In your view, what would be Infosys? Is there an Infosys way? Because I never heard about it, but you must have seen it, felt it.
Oh yeah. We don't write it like that, but if I have to take a shot in saying what are the top 2 or 3 ways of doing things at Infosys, I think one is believe that you can do anything. You know, heart and heart, I think this company allows people to push the envelope and do things, and do things in a when you look at a client deal or a project or work and things like that, you can do more than what you think you can. And I think that's one of the reasons I really love working at Infi, and I've stayed here so long, is that ability. That if you have an idea and if you work well with people, you can push it, you can keep doing it. That's one. Second, very early, right? Though this has become a little bit more fashionable to talk about future of work, future of learning, and etc. I think one of the values the organization had, and not a written value, but one of the core components was learning. Spending millions and millions of dollars in creating Mysore, the Global Education Center, which is the world's largest private corporate university, is something which laid that foundation, right? That we will learn, we will figure it out, and we will learn formally, informally, etc., etc. So right now we have amazing infrastructure to learn anywhere you are in the world, and largely technical learning, but that's what really matters in the organization. The third one is, I think, which we are very famous for, or our founders are also very famous for, but essentially about values, right? Do what's right. Stick to your values, right? We have 5 values like most of the companies have, but on a day-to-day basis, when you come across that conflict on a decision, stick to your values. If you stick to your values, you'll be fine, right? Don't look at it from a short-term perspective, or what I lose, what I don't, but just do the right thing. I think those are the 3 things I would say, my personal opinion.
Okay. So now tell me, and it's not just your personal experience. You influence the whole organization by the way you recruit people. All this, you must be looking for these things in people too when they come in. So, that's a great insight for all of us. And now tell me, which is a very obvious question. A lot of people are asking me through the days when they came to know that I'm talking to you. Did you work with Narayana Murthy ji and Nandan Nilekani?
So I haven't had the pleasure of working with NRN directly. I have had the pleasure of making some presentations to him, and extremely enriching experience, right? When the individual is talking 3 levels ahead of what you are trying to present, the value you get for yourself is unbelievable. And Murthy especially is so extremely well-read person, so he brings insights from multiple aspects of life. So it's like a full coursework of 6 months in one presentation, which you get out of him. And also, he allows you to present your idea, give the merit of it. He will debate it, and then you do feel really important by doing that whole thing, right? He might know already, but Nandan, on the other hand, I've had a little bit of pleasure since he's currently associated more closely, and again, another legend to work with, right? You do 30-minute presentation and you take 20 hours of content out of that meeting. Very extremely sharp to grasp an idea and work with you on that. Very well read and networked and knows what's happening. So, but extremely humble, right? One of the first meetings I had with him, he said, "Tell me a little bit about the industry. I don't know." And I was like, "You formed the industry. You started this industry. What are you asking me?" So very valued interactions, I would say.
So if I ask you what you personally learned from all these interactions, would you like to share?
Yes. It reinforces one of my feelings that learning doesn't stop. If at this stage, after being so successful, they're constantly learning, they're constantly asking questions, they're constantly trying to figure things out more, I think learning never stops. So it should not ever stop. Be humble, extremely. There are probably two of the biggest icons in Indian industry, and it's so easy, so simple to work with them or have an interaction with them that it kind of makes you feel important. So stay humble. I think those are the two learnings I have from them. That don't and very curious. They ask questions. They want to debate it out. They want to know more details behind an idea, and so on and so forth. It's quite an experience.
Oh, that's great. That's great, Rajesh. And what I really liked in the whole conversation is again that I think the Infi way has an impression on you, and we can see the kind of people who might be there. I can almost imagine myself sitting in the room with all those stalwarts and talking to you, and I can understand how that whole culture might be working. And someday I would like to come and see how things happen.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And so, Rajesh, today we learned a lot of things with you, lot of things. And you gave us a glimpse of the future. You gave us a lot of tips and techniques for getting ahead in our careers. And I'm sure all of us are benefited so much today. And I think two things that comes to my mind after the whole session. One is learning, not just the ability to learning, but you are ready to learn all the time. And it's not just about us, but even those stalwarts, they are learning all the time. So I think if we have to take something out from this, okay, career tips are one thing, but I would say learn
Absolutely.
from others, learn from learn from other people, whether they are junior to you, senior to you. Go lateral and learn and learn and learn. And second thing, and I think that I am doing as an NLP practitioner, uh, you are using the phrase "figure out" a lot. From the from the beginning to the end, I think that figure out. I think that is one very important thing. And you also touched upon it when you said the students should know what's happening around them. So this ability to figure out what's the emerging trends, what's happening in the world, uh, in what ways the world is changing, where the world is moving. I think that figuring out. Someday I would sit with you again and figure out how to figure out. Okay. Yes.
Yes.
So with those words, I would like to conclude the session. But before we go, here is a chance for all our participants here in the virtual room to give their feedback, to say something about you, what they learned from today's session, so that we also know, two of us, that we added some value. we put something in life, or we should try some more.
Yeah, and I would just leave one message for everyone, especially for the students. If there is something you think I can help you with, please do get in touch. And I'm in the profession of human resources, employment, etc., etc. So even if it is not about a job or a particular activity, if there is something, anyone, right, not just the students, anyone who think I could help in any way, please feel free, right? I am on LinkedIn, Facebook, every possible place. Do reach out. I would love and be very happy to help any GECU at any point in time.
Yeah, just write you are from GECU, so that you and I must say this, that in the beginning, I was hesitant. Should I write to you? Should I not write to you? But when I started interacting with you, it is such a pleasure. I am meeting another Indori. I am meeting another GECU. It's almost like there is a bus under us. We are talking on the top of a roof, bus roof. It's such a informal talk. But one more thing that GECUites have a complaint with you. Not everything is thumbs up. One of the faculty member told me that Infosys doesn't come to GECU. So what we are lacking, we are not complaining. We are saying what we are lacking, or what we should do so that we can get into your system.
So I have a full answer on that.
Okay, please.
I was expecting this question, but just in the interest of time, I think I'd be happy to engage with the faculty to have that conversation in detail. But just on the for everybody's advantage, Infosys selects every college we go to in a very, very scientific way. Which is about a certain amount of feedback we have from the, now there are formalized rankings of colleges in the country. There are some UGC related norms which we take into consideration, and then we make a list we are going to, right? And then there are other colleges. For example, I think we do conduct campus for larger RGPV affiliated colleges, and GECU or Ujjain Engineering College does participate in that. We have, in fact, even in the last batch, the batch we just graduated also, though they have not joined yet, we have students who have accepted the offers and are looking forward to join. Similarly, in 2019 batch also we had few. But I'm more than happy to interaction with the faculty or the placement officers to detail it out on what it would take for us to do this.
Yeah, my suggestion is not to come to GECU if we don't deserve it, but help us out in a way.
Absolutely.
Where we can pass your qualifications. So, so with that, and there are a lot of comments. People are really so happy to be with you today, Rajesh.
Absolutely.
And so, on that bright and with permission, can I pause the session?
Absolutely, sir. It's been a pleasure. Thanks a lot for having me again.
Okay, and we would like to see you as students mentoring the faculty. And if we change the curriculum, we put. Okay, so that
Come to college for a long time.